Hello again, I'm Stephen from Auto Night, and today I'm going to be talking money. I've had this car for over 3 months now, and I've done a lot to it, hell of a lot in fact. So I think it's time that I actually work out just how much I've spent. This could be terrifying. In this video, I'm going to be running through all the jobs I've done, the individual costs, and right at the end of the video I'm going to tally it all up. Also, add in the purchase price and work out the total. But before I do that, here's a little message from me. Auto Night has nearly 6,000 subscribers now, which for a small channel is both surprising and really pleasing, because I never thought that that many people would want to watch me playing about with my cars. I mean, 6,000 people, that's like over 11 Airbus E380s worth of people all flying into an airport. Imagine that many people subscribed to my channel. It's amazing. I want to thank all of you who have subscribed, and those who followed me from the start or recently, and those who like my videos. But, and there's always a but, isn't there? I've checked my channel analytics and only 7% of those who watch my videos are actually subscribed. It's a lot of people who aren't. So can I just ask to please consider subscribing? It would mean a lot to me. Back to the video. I bought this car back in June this year, early June. Isn't it a beauty? But has this turned out to be a great fun car that I've enjoyed working on? Or has it turned into an absolute money pit? I'm going to run through my expenditure on this car, and don't worry, it's not going to be too dry and dull. I am going to try and explain, not part by part, but area of the car by area of the car. So this won't go on forever, but it'll give you a good idea as to how much it's cost, and right at the end we'll work out, has it been a disaster, or has this been fun, and is it a reasonably good investment? Now the good news is there are videos on all these jobs, and for the very few items that I discuss at the end, those videos are on the way. So I hope these videos will be useful for you if you're planning to do this kind of work on your car, whether you've got a Z3 that you're working through the same items, or whether you've got another car, another BMW, or whatever it is. Maybe you'll get something from these videos. Now, I never sell my videos as instructional, because they're not. They are just footage of me working on my cars. So always do your own research in terms of processes, techniques, torque settings, and so on. I am an ex-main dealer car technician, but I'm human and I'm not infallible. The very first job I did on this car was to swap out the radio. There was a Sony head unit fitted to the car, but the previous owner gave me the original radio, so that's zero cost. That's not even going to be on the list. So the very first thing that cost me money was to reinstate this cooling fan, because the previous owner had deleted it because the viscous coupling had seized and it had become noisy. Now, he gave me the cowling, he gave me the fan itself, so all I had to buy was the actual viscous coupling, and that cost me £85. Next, I carried out a full service. Now, we're talking oil filter and oils, air filter, fuel filter under the car, also some pipe work that was perished, I replaced that, all 6 spark plugs, and I also replaced this little side light because that was broken, and that all came to £186.42. The next thing I didn't really see coming, but I pulled the bonnet release cable and nothing happened. I couldn't get into the bonnet, so I had to replace the lever, the cable that goes up there. The cable comes down here, and I had to replace both of these. What is that creature? Get rid of that. This and this. That cost £125.72. The aerial grommet had perished to the point where there was nothing left, and that cost £9.85. Up front here, I replaced the front brake pads and discs. The discs came with the car. It was a new set that the previous owner gave me, so I didn't have to buy those. So I had to pay for the pads, the wear sensors, 2 new calipers, brake hoses, brake fluid. Bled the whole system, so all the new front brakes were done, and those parts came to £285.06. At the back here, and I'm going to crawl underneath, you can just about see the diff under there, I hope. I changed the diff fluid, and that cost £51.07. Now, you may remember, if you watched the video, that I had some wiring issues. Somebody had run an external wire between the speed sensor in the diff and the speedo, and this wire ran outside under the car, and it was a total mess. So I had to reinstate that, and I also had to sort out some wiring for the hood. It was a bit of a debacle, but I got it sorted. Wasn't expensive to resolve, just the cost of wiring and heat shrink and bits like that. It came to £33.64, and that also included a bulb which had blown for the heater control panel illumination. Next, I wanted to strip out this plenum chamber cover here, take the wipers out, this cover off, and just make sure that the drains were clear, because they're often not on older cars because leaves and things build up inside. Everything was clear, everything was lovely, and it cost me £5.89, and that was just for a set of these clips. Next, I changed the power steering fluid. I drained it out, filled it, flushed it again, and replenished it, and that cost me £15.78 for 2 litres of fluid. The fuel tank straps were replaced because they were very corroded, but it was £75 for the 2-piece excellent fuel tank straps. If you want a set for yourself, please go on to zroadster.org, and the username is Mazza. He can sell you these, they're amazing. I went and collected them so I didn't have to pay postage, so it was a little bit cheaper. Next, I replaced the spare wheel. The old one was rotten, absolutely corroded, and there's a little link pipe under here that connects to a tyre valve, enabling you to check the tyre pressure without removing the spare. That link pipe, and also a nice new spare wheel from eBay, cost £90.94. And next, I replaced the bonnet badge. The old one was flaky and nasty. I did toy around with a cheap one from eBay. It was absolute rubbish, so I had to bite the bullet and buy this one from BMW, £47.96, including the 2 little clips that live behind. Next, I replaced the really corroded cross brace that goes under the car. It ties in the front subframe to the floor of the car. It was badly rusted. I got a replacement, a refurbished one from Lee, and that's the username on zroadster.org, and that cost £73.76. Both front lower arms were really scruffy. There was a worn outer ball joint, so I replaced those along with the anti-roll bar drop links. This cost £160.33. At this point, I'm going to talk about some parts that I've got but haven't yet fitted. So I will include these costs because I have actually paid for these parts. I've got them. Videos are going to be on the way very soon, but it does just come down to time because I have a very busy day job and I have to fit this in outside of my work commitments. But they will be on the way soon. Now, time permitting, I need to remove this driver's seat and strip it down and remove the covering and fit something that's missing from here right now, which is a new seatbelt guide. I've got the guide. It was £24 from BMW. You'll also notice on this door here, there should be a bezel around here. I've got that bezel already. Actually, I haven't included this in the costs bit. It was about £7. But in order to fit the bezel, I've got to realign the door card because there's a lot of gap there and there's not very much gap here, and this prevents it from being fitted. So I need to get the door card off, work out if this can be moved or if the door card needs repositioning. But in order to do that, I've precautionarily ordered the perimeter clips because I know they're going to break. They always do. And they cost £4.46. I'm hoping you'll be able to see here, but the trap rods and ends on this car are really scruffy and really rusty. So I've got 2 new trap rods complete with ends and also the gaiters, and that's £92.76. I will need a wheel alignment check afterwards, but I haven't added that into the costs yet. And finally, the rear brakes. You may have seen in a recent video that this offside rear wheel decided to start smoking really heavily and something seized, so I've ordered pretty much everything for the rear brakes. And when I say everything, I really mean everything, because I've gone for pads, discs, the wear sensor, both rear brake calipers, all the fitting kits, brake hoses, brake cables. Oh, there's a wasp. It's off. Both handbrake cables. It's back. Go away. I don't like wasps. Where were we? Both handbrake cables and also the handbrake brake shoes. So everything's going to be done there at the back, and that total comes to £341.07. So those are all my costs. I'm being swarmed by wasps right now. I think there must be a nest or something. So I'm going to leave one of my favourite filming spots for my editing suite, also known as bedroom 2, where we can work out some totals. Now I don't know if the camera is picking this up, but outside we've got rain, torrential rain, hailstones, and also a thunderstorm going on. And I just made it back. I had my roof down and I just made it back into the garage. I've shut the garage door and this has happened. It wasn't even forecast. You know, that's Britain for you. Welcome to British weather. I think I've had a very lucky escape here. Let's get back to the maths. So right behind me there on the screen, we've got some totals. It's a lot of money. £1,708.71. And now to talk about the purchase price on the Z3. Now, purchase prices are not something I usually talk about that often. Because whenever you get a new car, we all know someone, don't we, when you turn up with it, the first thing they say is, "Oh, how much did that cost, mate?" And I always think that's rude. I was raised to not ask questions like that. And if people ask me how much something costs, quite often I reply with, "Oh, a lot." How expensive was it, mate? "Oh, it was expensive." Or, "Did you get a good deal on that?" "Yes, I did." And I'll leave it at that. But I'm going to be honest with you, I paid $3,800 for that car, which I think is a pretty good price considering that it is a 6-cylinder car for a start, because a lot of the 4-cylinder cars aren't worth anywhere near as much. They're not as desirable. And it's excellent low mileage and good mileage history. I've traced the mileage back years, and some years it's done just a few hundred miles, if that. So it's a good straight car. It's all genuine. Everything stacks up. You see cheaper ones, you see more expensive ones. So what's the grand total? It's here on the screen. So the grand total, £5,508.71. And some people would really flinch at that and say, "Oh, you could have just bought one that had all that stuff done for that, or for less than that." But what use would that be in terms of content? I don't want a finished article because I can't make you videos on a car that needs nothing. And yes, that might seem like a lot of money, but I have enjoyed doing it. But there's one thing that's missing from those numbers there on the screen. And I'm not sure if you've guessed it yet. But I tell you, it's labour. Because I don't pay labour. Now I'm fortunate because I can do all my own work. Yes, I've got years of history in the industry to have got me to this place, but some people genuinely cannot do any of this stuff themselves. So they'd be paying labour. They'd be paying somebody else to do all this. And I can guarantee you now that if the average Joe had to pay to have all of that lot done on the screen behind me, we'd be talking completely different numbers, massively higher numbers. And to be honest, it probably wouldn't be worth doing if you had to pay that much. You probably would want to go getting yourself one that was already sorted, and it probably would be better value to do that. So a question that I asked at the beginning, has this car turned out to be an investment or has it turned into a money pit? I think it's somewhere in between. I don't know what use values are going to do on these. People say they're going to rock it at some point. If they are going to rock it at some point, I think I've got the right model because it's a 6-cylinder one, it's desirable, and it's in a good colour. It's definitely not a money pit because I've enjoyed doing it, and there's more to come yet. So that's it for this one. I'll let you draw your own conclusions. Feel free to comment below, and as I said at the start, it would be great if you could subscribe to my channel, at least like the video. I look forward to seeing you again in another one very soon.